Hi everyone, it's Nathan Fan, the Magic Asian Man here, and welcome to our very first Mixology Mondays. I have been so excited for this. The instant that I knew I was going to start doing like a different theme thing every day, I knew that I had to do one of them for alcohol, and Monday made the most sense. I have a huge love, anyone who knows me knows that I have a huge love and passion for cocktails, particularly classic cocktails, anything from like the 20s and before. It's so fascinating to see how these evolve and what people were drinking, what people still drink. And yeah, there's something about sitting down with a nice cocktail. Never been one for shots really, or for beers. Like I can enjoy one from time to time, but a good cocktail can never go wrong. So I thought that I'd start with one of my favorites, the oft-revered and even more often butchered Martini. So we'll take first let's take a look at our ingredients here. Let's see, yeah, you like this, huh? Just bought this, it's a cocktail cabinet. Don't know how old it is. I just got it yesterday, and I'm already deeply in love with it. It's got storage down here as well. So let's look at the ingredients for a martini. Now, I know lots of you may, or some of you care about the origins of these drinks, some of you don't. I'll go really quickly into the origins of the martini, because lots of people actually don't know about the origins, even the experts, nobody's quite sure. Some people think that it's a derivative of a classic drink called the Martinez. Some people say that it was inspired by a recipe from Martini and Rossi, who make vermouth. Some people say it came from the Knickerbocker, some people say it came from the Occidental. Nobody really knows. I compare martinis to Shakespeare. There's a lot of mystery shrouding Shakespeare. Did he really write what he wrote? You know, were there any ghostwriters in play? That sort of thing in the origins. And ultimately, at the end of the day, knowing those answers don't help you enjoy Shakespeare or martinis any more or any less. We are just glad that it exists and that it is pivotal in the development of everything that came after it, and there's so much we owe to the invention of these things, discovery of this. So to me, martini is like Shakespeare. If we ever find out the real answer, cool, but I'm still gonna love a martini whether or not I know where it comes from. So there are two schools of thought when it comes to martinis. One is vodka. I'm using here, this is a Russian standard vodka, which was a wonderful, pretty affordable, solid vodka. This is not necessarily as clean as a Grey Goose, but man, it is a solid vodka for the price. A good mate of mine turned me on this, Philip Gabriel, who is an actor and director out in the Inland Empire area. When we were doing Mr. Murder, he was my director for a murder mystery show I was doing for a long time. He turned me on to Russian standard, wonderful vodka. And the other school of thought is gin. Now, there are lots of purists who say that it is not a martini unless it is gin. However, I mean, I try to have, I'm a little pretentious in many ways, but when it comes to alcohol, man, if you like it, if you dig it, fantastic. But I am a bit more of a purist. I love a good gin martini. I occasionally want a vodka martini. Now, however, with a vodka martini, because vodka is so clean and plain, really you're just drinking, you know, iced vodka with the ice strained out. So for that, I appreciate having some olive juice. So I like a dirty vodka martini, but when it comes to a gin martini, you gotta have vermouth. Now I know a lot of people do not like dry vermouth, and it is my school of thought, my opinion, that the people who don't like vermouth have only ever had bad vermouth. And there's so much bad vermouth out there. Stay away from Martini and Rossi. Awful. Rubbish. Noilly Prat is pretty decent. My personal favorite, without breaking the bank and getting crazy expensive, is Dolin. I assume that's how it's pronounced. It's supposed to be French, so Dolin Vermouth. Dolin Vermouth de Chambéry. This stuff is great. Vermouth also goes bad because it has a low alcohol content. It's kind of like wine. So really, if you're going to open it and then refrigerate it, and you can keep it for like, I think a month or something like that. If you leave it room temperature, you're going to want to swap it out like every month. Oh yeah, it even says right here, once opened, keep chilled. And oh, that's where you're supposed to put the date on. I just wrote it up here. So I've yet to crack this sucker open, but you want, in my opinion, either Noilly Prat or Dolin Dry Vermouth. So let's take a look at the glassware you'll need. Most people are familiar with the shape of kind of inverted triangular shape of a martini glass. I personally prefer using a coupe glass. That is this, you know, some people serve this in champagne. You'll probably see this in movies like The Great Gatsby, that sort of thing. They were a lot popular long ago. This is actually a coupe glass. That is from there's official Bombay Sapphire coupe glasses, and I like it because this almost has kind of this turquoisey teal on the bottom, so I decided to order a set of these. Cool. So if you want to, you can chill this ahead of time if you'd like. Such a nice sound. It's the little things in life. And of course, if you're going to prepare a martini, you're going to need some ice. So I've got my wee ice bucket here. Yes, and then if you want, you can have yourself a little cocktail shaker set as well. This right here. This is my my little cocktail set here. It comes with, I got this off of Amazon. It comes with a bucket. It comes with a martini shaker and all the stuff, the jiggers and things that you'll need to make it. This, however, is a slightly special martini glass, a martini shaker. You'll see here it says Martinis and Magic on it. I had these custom made when I was doing my show out in Las Vegas. It's got a really solid capacity to hold things, so it's a really nice shaker, and I still use them because I have it sitting around, and why not? And then of course, if you're going to, the air pressure just kicked that sucker right off. Isn't that wild? Magic. Amazing. Also, if you're doing a martini, you're gonna either want olives. I prefer olives in a dirty martini, but when it comes to having a gin martini with dry vermouth, I like that citrus flavor. So really, I want lemon. I want a little bit of a lemon twist in there instead. So if you're talking to a bartender and you want to be able to tell them all this, you can tell them you want a dry gin martini with a twist. Sometimes you have to tell them up, which means that you strain the ice out, which should be common sense. Excellent. Now, technically speaking, you don't even need a cocktail shaker to make a martini, because there's something very important here that I want to get across. You do not ever shake a martini, so you don't need one of these. If anything, you're gonna need like a strainer that goes over, strains out all the ice for you, or you can use some really posh places use a little bit more of a thin mesh. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I've heard of a very popular character from a book and film franchise who requests his martini shaken, not stirred. Yes, this is true. Do you know why he requests his martini shaken, not stirred? Because a martini is usually never shaken. So he has to specifically request for it to be shaken, not stirred. Because most bartenders, especially back then, knew you stir a martini. If you shake a martini, there used to be a thing called bruising, where you could bruise the gin. I don't think, because of the way gin's made nowadays, I don't think you can bruise gin anymore. But really, the big reason is you can aerate it. When you shake it, you get lots of little tiny air bubbles in it. So when people sat down, I was just on a cruise ship before this, and I ordered a gin martini, a dry gin martini, stirred, not shaken. And they said, stirred, not shaken? And they asked me, could you even really tell the difference? It's one of those, some people think it's a thing, like it's a status thing. I say that to sound classy, but I couldn't actually tell. False. I can tell when someone has shaken my martini because of things. You'll see it's cloudy because of all the little air bubbles that are inside of it. And also you will see a thin layer of broken ice flecks across the very top, because when you shake, the ice breaks. And so you have this thin layer of ice that sits on the top and just slowly waters down your martini, and you don't want that. So, stirred, always, never shaken. So I am unfortunately that guy. I know how hard bartenders work, and I'm always trying to be very, very courteous. If it is a busy night, I do not ask them for a martini, because I know that I'm gonna have to tell them I want a dry gin martini up with a twist, stirred, not shaken, and they're gonna look at me and go, what? Son of a, because they're slinging drinks left and right. In that case, I'm just gonna order like a nice pour of bourbon or something like that, because you can't mess up a neat pour of bourbon. But normally, if I have my way, there's several things that go into the martini. So I'm gonna today focus primarily on the gin martini. I'm really feeling more ginny today than anything else. So here's what you need for your gin martini. You're gonna want some ice. I like to throw in the ice at the end. Some people throw it at the beginning. When you throw the ice in at the beginning of a cocktail, then it slowly starts to water down the entire time, which means you will have more liquid at the end, and it will already be a bit watered down. Some people like that because the drink has already kind of had a chance to mellow, I guess. Me, I like to have it as clean and as smooth as possible. So really, all you need your gin, you need your vermouth, you need your shaker or just your cup and your strainer, yes? And you need a stirrer of some sort. And for me, my stirrer, I don't know how I can live without this sucker. I think I'm actually going to do a giveaway with these, maybe later on. Amazon, you can set up these giveaways, and I think I'm going to do that in a few weeks once Amazon's a little bit less busy. This is one of my recommendation go-to. So I have two little tools here. Got this lovely thing here, which is just a wine key. Very, very lovely, very simple. But this right here, oh, do I love this. It's a Swiss Army knife for alcoholics is what this is. Not really alcoholics, but people who love cocktails, because you've got your jigger. So there's full ounce, half ounce. This is a citrus, I forget the term for it, thingy, juicer. And then this pivots out. And it becomes a muddler, yes. And then built into here as well, of course, you've got a bottle opener. Right there, got a bottle opener, you got your wine opener, and then you have a big old knife for cutting things. You have a nice little tiny zester, yes, which is great. You also have there's a strainer built into this thing, that's wild. And then, go, gadget stirrer! And then you get a nice long stirrer right here as well. So it really is a Swiss Army knife for bartenders. It's fantastic. This comes with me whenever I go places and I bring cocktails. Anyone who's ever been on tour with me knows that I always travel around with a little thermal bag that's designed to hold 6 wine bottles, but I use it to stash 3 or 4 different neat spirits. And then I also will throw in there like some vermouth and some Grand Marnier or a Cointreau or something like that. Something else that goes in good with mixing to create other drinks. Something versatile. And then this sucker comes with me everywhere. When I know I'm going to be drinking, that is. So, I'm never without this thing when drinking. Let's get into making the martini, shall we? Now, if you'd like to, you can throw some ice into the glass so that you can chill it, if you'd like. You do not have to do that. But you can, if you'd like, throw in some ice with some water, let that sit, and then once you're ready to pour the martini, I drink all that water because you should stay hydrated when you're drinking. Drink responsibly. I have never had a hangover, and it's because I'd rather gain a pound than have a hangover, so I always drink lots of water, and if I need to, I go out and get a late night snack somewhere. Not go out like drinking while driving. I mean, I will, either come back home and I'll raid the fridge, or I'll ask the Lyft driver who's driving me home to go through a drive-through. I do whatever I can, or I will walk to a 24-hour joint, grab some food, and wait it out. So here we go. Martini glass. Cool. So traditionally speaking, the proper proportion for a martini is 1 to 3. 1 part vermouth, 3 parts of the gin. Now this is from the Gin Factory, bottled in Scotland, eh? This is small batch distilled rosemary gin. You'll believe it. Not my favorite. My favorite is actually a gin called the Botanist, which is also Scottish. However, I have just run out. Just drank the last of it the other day. So today we will do this. It's either this or Japanese gin, I think, are the 2 things that I've got left. So we're going to do this then. So for this, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. We're going to do 3 whole ounces of this. Now, a proper bartender can absolutely eyeball this. For me, I know that when I'm pouring, a full pour is usually 1, 2, 3, boom. So that is 3 ounces of gin, and I'm gonna do, here it is, brand new bottle of vermouth. Ah, it's a wonderful sound. And we'll pour in a whole ounce of vermouth. Good. For a drink that is, I'm so particular about, it really is quite simple to make. And then we need some ice. I don't have a little ice thingy. Let's go. Ooh, that's one. I oftentimes just use this. I don't have an ice scoop with me. Let's go ahead and get some ice. Throw that sucker in there, and then we'll grab the stirrer. And just stir for a bit. You want to really give it a chance to properly chill down the entire thing. So, I'm gonna say good 10, 20 seconds. You really want to make sure that that gin gets a chance to chill down, ice cold temperatures, and then you're just gonna pour it out. It's pretty simple. How you doing? Gone stir crazy yet? Oh, didn't even mean to make that joke, but here it is. That's what happens after isolation. Excellent. You can see, oh yes, that's a good sign when you can see that the this has gotten nice and frosty. Put that lid on there. Strain. See, nice and clear. That's the way you want it. And you can see how the glass is starting to frost up because it's nice and cold. That's what you want, the condensation on the outside. And now, while that's getting a chance to look good, we're going to go and take... I could use the zester for this, but I like to just get a bit of... How funny it would be if this is the one time I cut myself doing this on camera for all the world to see. Just get yourself a bit of the lemon. And then here's the little extra touch. Squeeze it. When you squeeze it, it releases the oils. I'm sure some of you have done the thing where you take like a orange peel, and if you strike a lighter next to it and you squeeze it, catch on fire because it's pure oil and it's flammable. It's a citrus oil. And then I like to just tuck that sucker in there, and there should be a perfect Martini. Ooh, you smell the citrus right off the top. Oh yeah. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. I do usually use just a touch less vermouth than that. I usually do 1 to 4, I think. So I usually throw in like a healthy splash, but not necessarily a full ounce. Probably do like 2/3 of an ounce, something like that. The vermouth really does, because otherwise you're just drinking gin, which, you know, not necessarily a problem with. Some people like to drink straight gin, but for me, just a touch of that vermouth really gives it a bit of flavor. So there it is, how to make a proper dry gin martini. Now you can absolutely do this without the vermouth at all. You can throw olives into a gin martini as well. And you can absolutely do this with vodka. I've never played with having vermouth in a vodka martini before. I don't know if it works. I've never tried it. I always just pretty much just stick to my gin martinis, because if you have a good, decent gin and a decent vermouth, you throw those two things together, you stir, you really can't go wrong. I mean, play around with it. The classic Martinez is a really, really interesting one as well. That one's, I believe, has orange bitters in it as well. That's a bit more orangey, a little bit more citrusy, whereas this can be a bit more floral, especially depending on the type of gin that you are using. So there you are, a proper gin martini. And really, like with any other kind of drinking, it's not about getting drunk. It's not. To me, drinking is always about the journey, the experience. So whether it is the simple pleasure of fixing the martini, or who you're fixing it for. I remember once reading an interview with Robin Williams, and they asked him if he missed, this is getting a little bit inappropriate for children, but if he missed a certain thing he used to indulge in, we'll put it that way, just in case there are some wee ones watching. You know, back in his crazy days, back when he was partying with John Belushi. And he said that what he missed the process of it. He missed getting it all ready, laying it out, preparing it. He missed that aspect of it, but he didn't miss much else. Don't know if I'll leave that in. Anyways, so just remember to always, always drink responsibly. Drink with good company. Drinking is next to, for me, I get very little pleasure out of drinking alone. I've never been the sort of person who drinks to get drunk. I never do it if I'm like, I'm not the kind of person that says, God, I need a drink, you know. Which, if you are that sort of person, that's fine, you know. Just be aware of what alcohol does to you, you know. It affects everyone a bit differently. But it is essentially a downer, or it magnifies things. For me, at least, it magnifies things. So for me, if I'm in a bad mood and I drink, it'll probably make me feel worse, which is why it's very important that for me, if I want to get a drink at the end of the day, it's not that I want to get a drink, it's that I want to hang out with my friends. Like, I've had a bad day, let's go get a drink. Not because I need to get drunk, but because I want to hang out with you. And this drink will allow me to just kind of more easily access my emotions and to speak my mind. It magnifies things for me. So I like to be able to sit down with a nice drink and have a good conversation. Yeah. Once it's had a chance to kind of sit for a minute. I can never tell if it's my taste buds getting used to the way something tastes or whether it really does, the chemistry of it after a certain amount of time really does start to change. You know that for wine, wine gets a chance to breathe and it really does alter the flavor profile. Same thing, a similar thing for bourbons, whiskies. If you add just a few drops of water, it interacts with the oils in it. And boy, the accent's getting thicker. It gets a chance to interact with the oils in it, and it really does change the flavor profile. It's not getting weaker or more watered down. It really is changing the flavor. Yeah, now I'm just sitting chilling. Now I'm kind of wishing I'd done this live. That would have been nice. Boy, I really feel like this should be longer, but on the other hand, it's already probably too long. If anyone has questions on how to make a proper martini, feel free to let me know. But like I said, it's real simple. Gin and vermouth, 1:3, 1:4 ratio, whatever you'd like. If you want to start off really easily, do the gin and then just do a little splash of vermouth, and then fix it, enjoy it. Try just a splash of vermouth more, mix it into your drink, and take it then until you find that kind of proper placement. Get scientific, measure, have fun with it. But yeah, just ice, gin, splash of vermouth, stir until it's ice cold, pour it into your glass, and if you'd like to, garnish it with a bit of lemon or, olives. There's all sorts of fancy olives, by the way. Oh boy, some of those olives they make nowadays, because the ones that most people use are like pimiento olives. They've got that wee bit of pimiento shoved into it. And then other ones, some of them have like blue cheese or jalapeno bits shoved in. Fantastic. So much in this wonderful world of martinis, but just most importantly, do not shake. So next week I'll probably teach an old-fashioned, which is with a martini. Actually, old-fashioned is probably my favorite cocktail, and a martini is like right behind it. So next week I'll probably teach an old-fashioned. Yeah, sounds good. I know these mixology Mondays, that's not a lot of mixology going on. It's a very simple thing, isn't it? It's just the gin, the vermouth, ice, stir, pour, enjoy. I think most of the best cocktails are like that. Very, very simple. Yeah, if there's a particular cocktail you'd like me to teach, feel free to comment on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me for Mixology Mondays. Tomorrow is Talk Back Tuesday, so I will probably go live on Facebook. That seemed to work a little bit better, going live on Facebook. And feel free to tune in and watch and ask me anything you want. Excellent. I'm just putting off ending this video because even though I'm not really there with you and you're not really there with me, I always feel a connection with whoever will be watching this, and it feels nice to feel connected to another human being right now, to speak to someone else right now. So I'm kind of putting it off, but all good things must come to an end, especially good cocktails. So ladies and gentlemen, here's to staying healthy. Thanks for watching. Good night. 2:45. There's no one in the place except you and me.